Hey everyone, welcome to an introductory video on Nextjs. This is all the theory that you would need to start with Nextjs. The prerequisites that you would need to start with Nextjs is basic React knowledge. Although you could start developing Nextjs applications without React.js knowledge, knowledge on React.js is highly recommended. Now, let's analyze the need for development of Nextjs framework within React.js. For that, firstly, let's see what React.js offered earlier. React.js offered a virtual DOM, which is an intermediary between the client and the server-side DOM. Secondly, it offered state management techniques like useState, Context API, and Redux for management of state, that is data, dynamically in the client side. React.js also offered unidirectional data flow, that is, data passed only in a single direction. React.js had a app.js file which acted as a wrapper element and passed components into the index.html. React.js followed JSX syntax, that is, it allowed you to write HTML inside JavaScript. React.js followed declarative syntax. Unlike imperative syntax, where you used document.getElementById and other DOM functions to refer to elements, here you could directly write declarative syntax and React would do the rest. Next feature that React.js offered was client-side rendering. Here, when a system made a request to a server and server responded in JavaScript plus HTML format, which was processed in the client side, that is, building of a web page occurred in the client side, which made the initial loading of a website slow. Nextjs solved this to a large extent. Nextjs followed server-side rendering. In server-side rendering, the response from the server had a built-in web page and JavaScript as its response, which actually reduced the initial load to a large extent. Rest of the functionality remains same with Next.js. The loading of the web page for the first time is known as client hydration. After hydration, the app behaves like a regular React application. The second important feature that Next.js offered was SEO friendly. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. Search engine optimization is the ranking of websites based on the keywords that the user inputs. Let's see how this works. So when the web page is being loaded in the system, a Google bot crawls through the website to check for the keywords in the metadata and matches it with the keywords that the user inputs. And then ranks the websites based on the matching keywords. Now let's see the difference between the React and Next.js with respect to SEO friendliness. So in React, when the Google bot crawls through the website, the page is still loading. So it doesn't get any keywords from the metadata. So this is not SEO friendly. Whereas in Next.js, the initial load is reduced to a large extent, therefore the chances of the website getting a better rank is high. Next feature that Next.js offered was folder based routing. In React, the routing is done using an external library called React Router. If you have used React, you would know that you would have to define routes by yourself using routes, and then each route has to be given its own path and element. Whereas Next.js followed folder based routing, that is, the routing is done based on the folder structure that you develop. For example, in Next.js, if you have a home folder inside the app.js and you define the functionality in page.js and the layout in layout.js, you could access this page using localhost 3000/home. Similarly, if you create another folder called login and define the same a different functionality in page.js and the layout in layout.js, you could access login page using localhost 3000 or whichever port you are running on /login. Fourth important feature that Next.js offered is code splitting. That is, the JS file that is being sent from the server side is divided into many partitions that are separately loaded as requested or required by the web page. Therefore, the processing time is reduced to a large extent. Now let's conclude all that we have learned about Nextjs. This would also help you in answering interview questions on Nextjs. The first feature that we learned was server-side rendering. Second is SEO friendliness, which is closely connected with server-side rendering. Third is folder-based routing, unlike the traditional routes and defining paths manually. Fourth is code splitting, which helps loading of the JavaScript faster. There are many other features that Nextjs offers. We will learn them in the upcoming videos. In the next video, we'll look into the Nextjs setup. Thank you.